All right. Hey. Oh, what's up, everyone? Welcome in. It's Mikey Wine here, aka Gun and Money Works, and we're here for part 6 of and hopefully the last, which I think we'll be finishing up tonight. The Tamiya Lexus LFA 124 scale, and got a lot done this last week, and between doing the decal work and finishing the clear coats and quite a bit of assembly. So there's only a few things to button up. I got to do most of this stuff underneath, and then the side mirrors. Let's see what else. That's about it. Just a little bit. So what up? What up, Nick? Nick is in. How's it going, dude? All right. Let's go down look here. We'll get not a close up yet, but kind of see what's left. So got the basic assembly. Everything's pretty much in and done. Up here, I got to, before I flip this over to work on it, I'm going to have to take the hood off because the hood does open. There's a little prop rod that's held up there with magnets. If you want to do that, you can prop the hood open. The wing is also removable with magnets. All that stuff came with the kit. I didn't do any modifications there. Let's go a little bit closer and at least show off what's here right now. So you'll notice the absence of the door mirrors. I've got to put those on tonight. I had to install the little lenses on those and finish painting them, clear coating them, and all that stuff. So everything tonight is going to be underneath, pretty much just underneath, except for the two mirrors. So, but I really like the way it looks really dark on camera. But the carbon fiber, the roof has a carbon fiber decal. Let's see if I can get the right light. You can see the pattern on it. Let's see if we can. Yeah, there it is. So you see the carbon fiber. The wing is also done in carbon fiber. That was a challenge because there's these little side, the wings, the rear spoiler has these little side fins that go down. Those are a separate piece of that carbon fiber decal that I had to put on there. Doing good at the bench tonight. Wife took bedtime duty. Nice. Give you some free time. That's awesome. Because you got two now, right? Two kitties. One fairly brand new and one not so brand new. So let's see. This week we got all the taillights in and the logos and stuff back there. Those metal transfers. Those are in. The exhaust pipes are in. Exhaust pipe, I should say. All of the grills in the front. You can't even really see those in the intakes there. Those intakes there. Every single intake on this has a photo etch grill in it. I'm going to try to take some photos of that so you can see it, but it's a little bit harder to see on camera. The camera tends to darken everything up. But in the end, I will most likely end up gifting this to a friend of mine who's had helped me out recently, and we used to work together, and I think he'll enjoy this. Also because this model is not without its blemishes. It has some issues. New one is 4 months. Ooh, time flies. It's not without its issues. It's got some blemishes, things that I just didn't see at the time, or not going to be able to fix, or should have done differently, that kind of thing. So I doubt this will ever see a competition. So most likely I'll end up gifting this to a friend of mine. But in the meantime, let's get cracking on the rest here. So what I wanted to put some gloves on because I'm trying to avoid all of the, as many fingerprints as possible. So if I can handle it without doing that, then that's great. So to get the hood off here, the hood just sits in. I'm just going to lift it up. And then it will come right off. There's a little bit of a sequence to it, but you can kind of lift up and pull forward and then lift up again. Let me get my glasses on. Can't see what I'm doing. All right. There we go. So there's that little prop rod it's on. There's magnets that actually hold that on, so you can pop that off and put it in a little hole there. There's another little receiver hole down at the bottom. I'll hold that on, but we don't need that banging around while we're trying to work on the bottom of this. So I'm going to pull off the wing as well. And this is the spoiler in the raised position. So the top, again, is carbon fiber. There is some of the body color underneath. And then the sides also have some carbon fiber on them. And so it was a lot of fun. Somebody was asking me today whether I did mostly airbrushing on this kit, and yeah, there was a fair amount of airbrushing, but also quite a fair amount of hand painting, just because of the interior and everything like that. So just going to throw down some cloths here. These will protect the paint from any scratches as I flip this over. So basically what I've got, there's 4 pieces that have to go on the bottom here. Actually 5 if you include the photo etch. Actually 6, one more. But before we do that, let me at least show off these little guys. So there's the mirrors with these little reflective metal. They're kind of like transfers. You just peel and stick, but they're actually mirrored. They're really nice. Came out way better than had I tried to paint that mirror finish. But so there's a few little support braces and stuff that go on here, and then that will pretty much complete the bottom. So there's only a couple pages left. Really, I kind of skipped ahead a little bit because I was doing quite a bit of work, and some of the paint had to be done in certain places. So if you can, I don't know if you can see, but some of those grills I was talking about, there are 2 on each side of those lower scoops there, and then of course the rear also has a significant amount of photo etch in these areas here, right across. Yeah, that's all photo etch. All those grills are photo etch. There's even a little tiny piece of photo etch in each one of those on the corners. But now that it's all together, it was really sketchy putting this together, because if you look at the radiators here on either corner, those are actually the radiators, and those air intakes on the top are where those are fed the air for cooling. Those basically don't fit. So when you install this in, it tells you to install it in the front first, and then you have to pull apart. You have to pull apart the body. You have to widen the body. It's partially or carefully, so you can get those past that, and then it pops down into place. So that was a little nerve-wracking. So anyway, here is one of the pieces here, and this has a piece of photo etch attached already. This is the bottom side you're not going to see, but this is where the attachments are. So this has to go on in the rear clip and then the front clip, but first we have to put the sides on. And there's these 2 side pieces that have to go on first. So with that, we're gonna. Oops, I gotta switch them around here. No, yeah, actually it goes this way. Okay. So these just glue on. These cover up all of this open area here on the sides. Trying to see exactly how this goes on. Okay, so that's going to go right there, I think. Oh. I don't know if this snaps in a certain way. I guess there it is. Okay. I just didn't have it quite lined up. There's 2 little alignment pins, and those have to be just right. So that's going to go there. So I think what I'll do, I couldn't get it back off. I'm going to take these off because I'm going to put some glue into that slot there, because this is supposed to go right in. So I think I could use thin cement. I guess I will. I've had to kind of trade off between thin cement and standard old-fashioned glue, because sometimes you just need that thickness. That glue needs to be a little bit thicker, just to create it, but rather than just running down, like the thin cement will run into a groove and not be as effective as something that's a little bit thicker. So that's why. All right, so that goes just like that. I'm going to just touch the corner here to try to a little bit of that capillary action to pull that in. Make sure that stays. And then we'll have to do the same for the other side. That decal on the roof was a little sketchy because when we left last week, I was doing this wing, and this is you can see part of it's kind of peeling off because I really didn't finish it. But this was the wing in the down position. But let's be fair. I mean, who's going to display this car with the wing in the down position? So that I was, testing that decal on that wing, and then during the week I had to do the roof and had to very carefully trim it. But having experimented with that first spoiler, I was able to figure out exactly how to do it and make sure that it didn't, the decal stuck well, flattened out really well, and then I was able to clear coat it with a nice gloss. All right, let me get this down, and then I will this is not quite sitting. There it goes. It's kind of like, there we go. It's got to like pop down into that groove just right. So again, I'm going to hit this with the corner just to use that capillary action of the glue. Big old fuzzy there, get rid of that. All right. So now that those two pieces are on, now we can put on the back piece first. And again, I think on these though, because this is only going to, well, it's going to be glued on in four pins. 1, 2, 3, and 4. I want the glue to sit there. The thin cement will just kind of soak in a little bit and won't remain suspended as long as this will. So I'm going to fill each one of these little holes up. And then I'll have a little more working time with it. Okay. I may even put a slight touch of the some CA glue under this piece of photo etch once I get this in place. So this is really just going to cover almost everything up. Just like that. Yeah, there's literally no no open gaps with this thing. Be careful not to push too hard on because the glass piece on this was really difficult to get to sit flat. It was just the way it goes into the body, and then I didn't want to use a lot of glue because then it goes all over the place and can look with glue coming through, especially on a clear piece, it just causes issues. So I was really trying to be careful with where I placed glue on that, how much pressure I pushed onto it, and stuff like that. So I think that's good. It's in place. So now you can see that photo etch grill that goes all the way up to where the Y pipe is here. And there's another piece that's going to go over the middle of this. Just a small little bracket. Now, this is not photo etch, but it has to go on a certain way. Let's see. Okay. So I'm going to be able to, I should be able to pop this down, and then I can hit it just a tiny bit of glue. All right. Whoop, I lost it. Okay, right there. Then go on either side there, and there. But that's it. All right, now last but not least on the bottom here is the front clip. And what's interesting to note, let me pull up the page for this. Oh, here it is. Okay. If you look at the actual instruction booklet here, it shows the silver paint basically going all the way forward up to this line here. But I have actual reference photos of the actual car, and it actually stops here. So I corrected the book because this is wrong. And that's aluminum or stainless steel. This is a stainless steel bracket. Does not extend any further than that. This is actually black up here. Whether it's painted or not, I don't remember. But as far as color separation, that's where it's supposed to be. All right, so now this piece is only held on by 3 pins. There's basically a triangle right on this front suspension. So again, I'm going to use old school glue just to get a nice droplet in here, because once this is on, it's really never going to come off again. I just want to make sure there's enough there to hold these pieces well enough once they start to cure. All right, and then the first pin is actually just lower than this triangle opening, so it's going to be right about here. Right. Nope. Missed it. Right there. That just fell right into place. It's kind of a shame too, like most Tamiya kits. You do all this work and then you have to cover it all up with covers. Now, if I was really ambitious, I would have tried to cut out a bunch of little pieces of carbon fiber, and then all these, because all these panels are all carbon fiber under here. In fact, the rear clip splits down the middle and actually goes all the way up the sides, and each piece is an individual piece. This whole front piece is one giant piece, but there was a seam right in the middle where it actually got bolted, and you had to unbolt it, and then you had to take each piece off, and it overlapped. What's up, Giovanni? How you doing, bud? Missed last week. Bummer. No big deals. You can always go back and watch again. I mean, it's going to be kind of interesting seeing where I was last week and where I am now, because this car is going to be done tonight, I think. Barring any crazy stuff, putting the side mirrors on. That's the only thing that bothers me is putting those mirrors on, because it'll be really easy to mess the paint up at that point. I've spent a lot of time and effort trying to get this paint perfect, and I still didn't get it 100% perfect. It still has its issues. And then I saw like a couple of scratches on the glass piece that were probably there during shipping or whatever, when the kit was packaged, and I didn't see it until, of course, now that it's in the kit, there's no way for me to fix it. But getting back to the carbon fiber, this whole roof section, I had to basically cut it slightly larger place the decal down, use some softener on it and setting solution, getting it to really form to the curvature of the roof, and then wait for it to sort of be established, at least where it wasn't going to move around, and then take a very sharp razor blade, and very carefully cut down the drip rail there to peel off those extra pieces. And then I actually folded the front and rear under the roof, so the glass piece, when the glass piece was installed, that's what kind of holds that all in place. So that was a challenge, and it was a little nerve-wracking there for a bit, but there's definitely something I didn't want to try to do on the live stream, because it was just, I had to really focus and I wouldn't be able to interact or talk or anything. So just making sure these are still in place. It feels like they're good. I think, oops, oh, there we go. I was going to say, I don't think that's quite perfect. There we go. That goes down underneath, just like that. Son of a bitch. I just move that. Don't know if I did or not. I heard something kind of crunch, and I don't like it. This car has some optional little fins. I think I might have. No, that's okay. It feels all right. Anyway, above the tail lights here, there are these little kind of fin winglets here that kind of flare up from the back, front to back of the car, and there's just a little. You can put them on if you want to. And I've actually looked at some LFAs that I've worked on in the past, in the real car, I mean, and there were some that had them and some didn't. So it's not on every car, but I wanted to try to put as much as I could on on this car. So I installed those and painted them with the body. So yeah, there's very little surface area to glue them on. It's just a really thin little fin there. I'm just trying to get, looks like I got a little piece of polish down in the groove there when I did the polishing on this. So speaking of that, going back to the polishing process, I bought a package of this. This was recommended by a friend of mine. This is Zona 3M wet dry micron graded polishing paper, and they come in several grits from 600 to 1200 to 1800, 8000, 10.6, and 22,000. So I never did use the 600. That's pretty aggressive. I can imagine doing that if you were really trying to get through some bad imperfections, lint or whatever it was. But I think the lowest one I went to was 8,000. No, maybe actually the 18. I might have used the 1800. But most of it, 1800 I think I did once. But most of it was 8,000, 10.6, and 22,000. And that's how I, after going over it and getting and re-clear coating, repainting, I was able to get the finished looks. Oh, hey, Julius. How you doing, man? Let's see. I want to make a Giovanni Mike. Imagine the service maintenance on the real thing. Yeah. Funny thing is, there were no labor times for that car. Even warranty was just, anytime there was a warranty issue with it, the factory did not have any set times for it. You basically made up your own warranty times. The dealer I worked at charged 4 hours labor for an oil change. And because this is a dry sump motor, and there was, I think, 6 drain plugs underneath it that you had to pull so you could drain all the oil out of the dry sump engine. There was the actual oil sump itself that you had to drain, that had one of the plugs on it. But then you had to, when you drained it out, you had to measure it. You had to fill up a container and measure how much came out of it. You had to put the exact same amount back in, then run it at a certain RPM for several minutes, and then it would automatically check the oil level. And then you had to drain it again, measure it again, fill it up, and do that twice. And then that would assure that it had the right amount of oil in it. And once it was at operating temp. So that was a trip. Julie says, it's looking good, Mike. Looks better than the pre-built diecast. Well, I appreciate that. Unfortunately, I'm going to be honest. There are, if you were looking at it in person, there are a few little things. And like I said earlier in the stream, for the ones that were here, I will most likely end up gifting this to a friend who used to work with me at Lexus, and he used to be one of my service advisors, and I think he'll enjoy this because this stuff does have its issues and blemishes that I'll probably never see a competition with it. I probably won't be entering this up against the car guys. This is the first car I've built in probably, I thought about it today, and I was thinking, gosh, it's got to be at least 40 years, maybe, since I've ever built a car model. So it's good to get back to it, but I think I know now why I don't build cars, because I enjoy mecha and I enjoy weathering and I enjoy stuff like that. I'm not doing this, pristine paint finishes, but it certainly is a good skill to have. And so I'm sure it won't be the last, but I enjoyed this. I just don't I don't think I'm going to build another car for a while. You know what I mean? Like I'll go back. I'll go do something else. Maybe I actually have a Corolla that I got as a prize at one of the IPMS shows. And if you don't know, a lot of the prizes are donated from the various IPS members that belong to those various chapters, and so you never know. Sometimes you open something up that somebody has been previously working on. They might have started to glue some stuff together, maybe just cutting parts off the sprues. Or in this case, I picked up this Tamiya Corolla, thinking, oh, okay, it's a Tamiya model. I know they're good quality. It's a car, yes, but still, it's a Tamiya model. It should be pretty good. And when I opened it, I found a bunch of resin upgrade parts, like a roll cage, a bunch of stuff to turn this regular street car into like I can't remember if it was like a drifter or some kind of a rally version of it. So it's kind of cool. That'll be something I'll definitely do. And that's still in my stash here. That's the only reason I didn't pull the trigger on the 2020 Aston Martin. Why? Is because you don't do cars, or you just didn't want to do the paint? The paint was, I definitely enjoyed. I'm very satisfied with the way this came out. As far as the gloss on the paint, this is the first time I think I've ever gone back and really worked on a paint finish like this to get it as polished out as possible, and then experimenting with the different grits on those polishing cloths, that polishing paper, just to see how they react and how deep you can go. If you're going a little too aggressive, then you can go to the lighter grit. And like I said, I was using mostly just the higher grit stuff because I had a decent beginning finish to start with. So I didn't have a bunch of dirt and lint in the paint that I had to scrub out. I did quite a few times. I had to go back and repaint. And then of course, you might have missed it too. I cracked. I actually flexed the roof down because the A-pillars were so thin on this. And part of the sanding process, I hadn't even painted it yet. I was just sanding it. I flexed the roof down, and I actually cracked both these A-pillars. So I put a little glue in there, and even though they weren't completely broken, put a little glue in there, a little bit of CA glue on the inside, sanded it again, and I thought I was good. And then I was doing something after I had already painted it. If you go to my Instagram, you can see or even the Facebook, I think the last post I did shows a picture of it. And I literally snapped the A-pillar. It cracked completely open. I had to glue it again, fill it with CA, sand it, repaint it. And this was after it had already been painted red. So that took a lot to get that back to where it looked nice and clean again. So let me go. Whoop. Hide that. See, the Aston Martin, that's probably a nice looking car. I think this is pretty cool. I'm glad I painted it this color too. And this was a paint that I just had in my stash. I can't remember why I had it. I bought a rattle can of Tamiya, like a Ferrari red mica. I can't remember what the color number is, but actually I can just get the can. So this is it's a TS85. Good old fashioned rattle can, and I decanted it with the straw here into a bottle, and it was ready to use right out of the bottle. I didn't have to thin it anymore. It was perfect in my airbrush. Yeah, I was very satisfied with the quality of the paint and how it behaved in the airbrush, and it came out mostly flawless. But one thing I did notice was I could put down a good layer of red paint, and then if I had to do any polishing, it would almost go through a layer of red and bring out the metallic properties to it more than if it just settled down normally. So even though sometimes I polished it out, I still had to go back and repaint, because if I didn't, it would leave those almost like a highlighted metallic finish underneath. And it was more of it was obvious that there was a repair done there. So it wasn't, I had to go back and shoot it again with the airbrush just to get a nice flat, smooth finish again. And then of course clear coat it and polish the clear coat. And so there's all these different steps to it. All right, so I've just been waiting for these to make sure these are going to be nice and settled in. It looks like the bottom covers are good, and they're definitely not going anywhere. So the last thing to do here on this is the side mirrors. And here's my little side mirrors. There's my little glass insert in there. And so I'm going to have to put on the high magnification specs here just to make sure I can see what I'm doing. I've gone through, you can see two little white dots. I went through and I scraped off the paint, because after doing so many layers of paint, I knew that it would just look like garbage maybe if I tried to glue something on with it. It'd be just a big glop of red paint on there. So I went down and I just scratched through the paint so I can get a nice, at least have a nice bare surface for the glue. So I'm going to see how this goes on. This is going to be fun. This is the part that terrifies me the most, because if I screw this paint up at this point in the project, it's not going to be easy to get it back. I don't want, glue going everywhere. So, all right, so that's going to sit just like that. All right, they are slightly angled backwards. There's at least a nice notch on this mirror that fits very well in the notch in the door. So all I really got to do is just put, and I'm only going to get one shot at this, put a decent drop right there, and then this has got to go in again slightly at an angle, turn backwards. Give me a sec here. I'm going to hold this in place. All right, let's let that sit there for a second. Oh boy, that is terrifying. I may need to go around with just a slight, one of my smallest brushes, a little bit of that red mica, and just maybe do a little tiny touch. But other than that, it's virtually unnoticeable. You just can't put too much glue in that little divot there, because then, of course, when you press in the mirror, then it wants to squeeze out. So I don't want it to squeeze out, but I still have to have enough there to really hold it. So now I got to do the other side. I'm going to make sure this one, I'm going to test fit it first. Make sure I'm not fighting it. Oh boy, this is so hard to get just right. So, okay, this one fits just as good. All right. Here goes nothing. Is that the custom decaling spray nozzle with... Wait. What are you asking me, Julius? Hold on. You are afraid of the maintenance? I say, Julius asks, is that a custom decanting spray nozzle? Oh, well, sort of. No, this is, before I glue that mirror on, I'm going to talk about this. So this is, when I worked in the auto industry, there were several services that we would provide, whether it be throttle body cleaning or various things like that, little additional things that we could sell to customers as technicians as we're working on their car. So we'd always get these cans of, and I can't remember if these were a throttle body cleaner, or I think it was a throttle body cleaner, some kind of one of the spray cleaners. And anyway, I would pop these off because these nozzles were, I have a bunch of extras. I would just keep using the same one over and over again. And I actually collected a bunch of these. And so I took the nozzle off, the original spray nozzle, and I popped this on. And it's pretty hard to get on there, but as long as you've got the same type of fitting that goes into the can, you can use this. And this is a nice, as the straw has a nice tight fit there, so nothing comes out to the side. And then I can actually put this right into a bottle and spray very, very easily without making a huge mess. So otherwise, I just end up using a regular straw and spraying through that, but kind of be a little bit more messy. But yeah, so that is, it's not made for it, but I discovered that I have this. It's the same type of nozzle fit anyway, where it goes onto the can. So I was able to kind of make it work. All right, I think I got too much glue there. I'm just terrified that this is not going to. I'm just going to soak up a little bit of that. Because again, I'm only going to get one shot at this. I'll try to do this without knocking the other mirror off. Oh boy. Okay, I think I got it. I'm gonna let that set for a second. Ooh-wee. Sketchy. Because I could just see this thing falling off and just dragging glue down the door panel, and just. Okay, those feel very, very good. I'm glad I took the extra time to scrape off the paint in there, so that way there's a good bare plastic, good bare plastic contact for that glue to soak in really nicely. And with that, this car is complete. So let me put this, actually before I do that, we can show off the engine here, which without the hood on, which is kind of nice. Came out very nice. There are some decals in there too for like the little coolant reservoir, the brake reservoir. There's some decals there, and you got the intakes, the twin oil filter cover in the middle, right there in the center, and then the fuse box on the left toward the rear. There's also the wiper that I had to glue on after the cowl was in there. You can see once the glass was put in, then I was able to install the single wiper blade. It's kind of hard to see, but you are the custom seat belts and everything inside. Let's see if I can get an angle here. There we go. So you can kind of see the seat belt there. Those were scratch built. And then the dashboard and all that. So, all right. So far, so good. So then if we want to install the wing, again, this is held on by magnets, which is kind of cool. kind of a nice touch for Tamiya to actually include those in the kit, which so you can swap the wings out if you wanted to swap out a. There's nice grills on this hood as well. Let's see if you can see that. Get it to focus on the photo etch. No, it's not really wanting to, huh? There we go. You can see the photo etch grills in there. It's also very nice. Really, really well done, well built kit, well designed with a lot of cool little extras like that. Not stuff that I, typically I have to buy. If I wanted to upgrade the kit, I would have to buy that stuff. So, okay, now I can take off the big magnifiers because I got those mirrors on. That was scaring me. I was worried about doing that. But with that, we are done. So let me show this off a little bit more here. So we got, hopefully everything stays intact. We got the back end here, the logos, grills, taillights. This by far is one of the best sounding cars I've ever heard in my career. As far as the exhaust sound is just amazing. Definitely need one of these anti-static brushes. If you don't have an anti-static brush from Tamiya, get one. So most people don't realize there's another smaller brush on the other end, but it hardly ever gets used because most of the time you're always using this guy. But man, they're a lifesaver. But I guess this would work like for when I was, a couple times I had some of that polish and the little grooves, and it's nice to have a little bit stiffer brush that you can get in there and brush that stuff out. That's still anti-static. So yeah, your decanter tube is janky and made from styrene tube. Yeah, well, that works, Julius. I used to do the same thing, and then I ended up having an extra straw from like McDonald's or something, and I cut a piece of that, and then I used that for a while until I mostly used it on clear coats. But now, if you look here, see, I got a bunch of these extra caps now. I used to label them gloss because I was decanting a lot of clear coats from Mr. Color. I was using the round cans of Super Clear, the GX Super Clear stuff, and so I decant those for a lot of years. Then recently, within the last year or two, I started using Guy Notes, their clears, and they're really, really well done, really nice. So, but those don't need to be decanted. Those are just normal ones you thin, just like everything else. Thin it with some leveling thinner, and it's good to go. But even the stuff I was decanting, the Mr. Color stuff, I would have to thin a little bit, especially the flat finishes, because they have that extra additive in there. It gets thick, so it's just easier to do that. Let's see, who's blowing me up? Somebody's blowing me up. If they calls my name. Oh, maybe Pabs heard me talking about gifting it to somebody, so now everybody wants their place in line here. I don't know, Chris. If you're watching, you gotta throw that in on the chat. I don't think I saw your name pop up. No, just Nick, Giovanni, and Julius so far. The only 3 people in the chat. So if you're there and you want to say something, ask a question or something like that, let me know. So what is next on the bench? I've got a little commission project that I'm going to be doing. When I mean little, I mean little. So if anybody wants to see the car a little more too, you can always let me know, and I will stop what I'm doing and show that as well. No problems there. I'm just going to move this out of the way momentarily. So this little guy. Somebody wanted me to paint him for him. This is the cool thing about this is it's Warhammer, of course, but if anybody's ever familiar with the video game Dead Space, this is a play on that. The armor is designed from Dead Space, the game, but it has that Warhammer bulk to it. But it's also got the little splicer and I think it's called the slicer. And it's where you could change the angle and slice up the little baddies that are running around. But anyway, let me bring this up a little closer so you can see the detail of it. It's a very nice print. It's a resin print. Got a little chainsaw, some kind of a chainsaw. Here they are. There's the slicer there. And then I think the armor looks pretty nice. So he majorly, I don't even know if I'm saying that right. I'm tired, guys. The majority of the color scheme he wanted was like a dark bronze or a burnt bronze or something like that. But I didn't have anything like that. I can go get it, but we decided on this color, and I've got to experiment with this to see how it works. Saying resin, resin, resin 3 times usually makes Chris spaz appear. That is true. Resin, resin, resin. We got to make sure that he shows up. So this is an old Citadel color. I'm not even sure if this is water-based or not. This one's called Brazen Brass, but it was close enough to that bronze, kind of a dark bronze, and I can use filters and stuff to make it darker. But this will primarily be the color that I'm going to use. I was going to try, he glued this thing together, by the way, too, the guy that wants me to do this. I was going to try to separate it from the base, but since I had one of these in my cart, these little holders, I decided to leave it alone and be able to put it on here so I can paint it, because these things are really nice. They're really worth their weight, I think, for this type of work. So yeah, just a fun little painting project. It's mostly going to be hand painted. I will airbrush primers and stuff like that, but I don't think I need to do too much cleanup because, again, this was a print. It wasn't molded, so there's not going to be any mold release, but I will go through all the normal cleaning process of resin, making sure that is oh, hey, what's up, George? Making sure that is all clean before we put the first primer layer down. But because this has a lot of recessed little areas, I think the armor, the rate or the higher surfaces are going to have this bronze. I think I'm going to go with something darker, maybe even red behind that to kind of offset this bronze color. So I think that will look nice. George, you just missed the car here. Let me bring over the LFA here because we just finished it a second ago. So one more time for George, since he just rolled in. I just glued the side mirrors on, and that was scary, man. That was nerve-wracking. So I got the spoiler in the deployed position. Then you got the carbon fiber roof, carbon fiber spoiler, dashboard. Tonight we did everything underneath here. So, whoops, I knew something was going to happen. All of these covers were all put on tonight. That was the finishing touches on that. And then there's the engine bay. All nice and clean. Thanks, George. So shiny. Yeah, that was a process for sure. If anybody wants to hit me up on the side to talk about the process of it, I'm not an expert on it by any means, but this was my first time using those Zona polishing paper. And by Brian, Mr. Bro Builder, Brian Denclaw, thank you so much for recommending that. Those were beautiful. I can't say thank you enough, because that was the first time I've ever done this kind of finish on a model that I can remember, even back in the days when I built a car. I probably used a rattle can or maybe even never even painted it as a kid. So this is definitely the first time I've ever gone through that type of paint process where wet sanding, repainting, getting a piece of lint, and then you got to go through and polish it again, and yeah, it was definitely a lot. And the hardest part too, I think, is when you're going through that. It's real easy to, because as you keep layering and layering and layering, pretty soon you've got all this paint, and it might get too much. You got to be really careful not to go too heavy on the coats, because then eventually you end up with just too much paint on it, and it starts washing out the panel lines and everything else. So I think we did a good job. I think I'm happy with it, but like I did say earlier, it has its issues, it has its blemishes. I'm probably going to gift this to a friend, because I doubt it will ever see a competition based on those blemishes, and based on what I've seen at an IPMS event. When you got those car guys, they're literally guys that paint cars for a living, and they just take those techniques and shrink it down into scale building. And so the paint jobs are just ridiculous. And so I'm just throwing my towel in before I even get started, because I know that, that although this may look nice, it won't carry any weight against those guys at all. And I'm not a car guy, so it's not like I'm investing myself into doing nothing but cars now and trying to just get so good at it. I had fun, but I'm not that willing to or eager to jump back in and try another one. I'm just trying to make sure I'm just keeping the dust off of it and trying not to bump anything. Did that mirror move on me? No, it looks good. Both mirrors look good. I want to take one last look at these. Side mirrors were scary to put on, but yeah, ankles look good. And the glue set nicely. Didn't really bubble, didn't really squeeze out too much. I didn't put too much in that little notch. So yeah, I think we're good. All right. So what I was talking about was just the next little project. I got a little commission project I'm going to do here of this little Warhammer figure. It's just the one. And so yeah, I thought I would do it. It'd be kind of fun. I don't usually paint minis, but this is about a 42 millimeter. So slightly larger than some maybe of the Warhammer stuff, but I'm not totally familiar with that, so I could be wrong. But yeah, it's a pretty good scale. It's got some excellent detail, being that it's a 3D a resin print, so it's really, really well. The print is really good. I mean, they must have used a pretty high resolution on this, because even the flat surfaces are they're just silky smooth. There's hardly any little, there's a tiny little, looks like maybe there was a support there, right here on the inside of the leg, but I mean, you can't even really see where there were supports. There's a tiny little nub or something on the back of one of these little, it looks like some kind of a tank, not really a thruster bell, but I can sand that. It's not going to take a lot of cleanup. This thing is really nice. So, but what I was talking about earlier about highlights, maybe this even has little damages in the armor. You can see little nicks and scratches too. And those were molded in. At first I thought it was a defect, but then I started looking. I was like, oh no, those are just like, you get kicked in the shins. You got a little scratch there. So, but if you look at the shoulder here, let me get that to focus. You see these little almost vent type things. I think what I'll do is highlight those with a different color, something red or something like that against that bronze. I think will look really nice, because it's kind of like just a crescent shaped little detail there. And then there's even some little tiny rivet work that goes along that edge. Somehow I'm going to have to try to individually paint. There's even rivets. There's 2 rows of rivets that go down that shoulder. So somehow I'm going to have to try to paint those individual rivets. I don't know. We'll see. It's left it up. He basically gave me kind of what he wants, but it's not It's not set in stone. I've got free reign to kind of use my own creativity and see what I can do. But yeah, that's it. But in the meantime, before I'm not going to start this tonight, obviously, because I'd have to fire up the compressor and do some airbrushing. What say you? Let's see. What do we want to talk about? What about how about what's behind me? So I will tell you. Check this out. Okay, see that chair over there? My kids got me a mini fridge. See, my wife's not too happy about that because now I don't have a reason to go downstairs and get a drink. I can have my soda. It'll hold 8 cans, I think, something like that. Anyway, I haven't taken it out of the box yet, but yeah, we'll do that next week maybe or something like that. Anywho, let's see what can I start. Let's go back down here. I have to clean this bench on this. It's funny how I start with a nice big area and then it slowly gets closer and closer. Yeah. I don't have a display box for this either. It's something I never thought about. I got to get something like that. I got dust on it. Just crazy how easily lint and stuff just attaches itself to this thing. But yeah, I'm happy with it. For sure, happy with it. Okay. Yeah, I might have to buy myself a plaque of wood or something to give, so he can display it properly, or just give it to him and he can let him get one. But for the meantime, I'm going to put this in the case so it's protected, doesn't get damaged in any way. And let's see what I can bring to the bench here. We got Gladys Gift. Loving your streams. Can't wait to tune in again. When's your next stream? Share your schedule. You know what? If you're on Twitch, it already has my schedule on there. So this sounds more like a phishing scam or some kind of a spam message here. Let's take the conversation to Discord. Yeah, see, I told you. Nice try, Gladys Gifts. I'm not supporting you because I don't. Don't come on my stream and try to pull a bunch of people over to your Discord. That's not cool. Not cool at all. No, whatever. Seems like the interesting characters are running around Twitch. I don't get a lot of Twitch followers or Twitch watchers on my live streams, but the ones that come in sometimes say and ask some very crazy things. So yeah, don't care for it. There's no place for it here. Let's put it that way. And if you're still in the room, go ahead and respond. But I'm guessing you're not. Because I'm guessing you dropped your message and ran because you just want people to join your Discord and you don't care anything about my stream. Right? Right, boys and girls? All right. I'm going to start putting some of this stuff away here. I have these marked with the Tamiya equivalent colors so I would know what color to paint certain things with. I think that was it. Nope, got one more. Never have to leave her model room again. Yeah, that's the point I think she's trying to make. She's all worried about that I won't leave the room again. That I will stay up there or stay up here all day. Not like I don't do that already to a certain extent. See, a lot of times, oh, shoot, I got to put that back on. The hood prop, when the hood dropped, it popped the hood off. So let me put that back in place. There is a little hood prop that goes on. It's held on by magnets. Still not 100% sure how to get this off the first try every time, but anyway. So let me go down to the, I'm going to bring this close up again so you guys can see this. I talked about it, but you never actually got to see it. Other than, okay, so on the hood here, it looks like they're lit up, but they're painted black. It's just they're reflecting. But you see those two dots? That's the actual magnets. And then on the hood prop itself, this little guy, there is two little tiny pieces of photo etch, and that's what holds that on there. So that's actually where the hood prop stays on the car when the hood is closed. Once you open it, you just pull this rod off and prop the hood up. It doesn't actually have hydraulic struts or anything like that to hold it up. So anyway, I just happened to find that because I dropped the hood earlier, so it popped off and it was hanging out over here. Yeah. You guys can't see that that comment, can you? Unless I pull it up on screen. So this is what I'm getting from Twitch. So everybody can see it now. You see why I'm kind of frustrated with this kind of crap. It's like, you guys, you know what? Fine. You want to support the live stream? I'm all for it. I'll support your live stream if I'm watching it, but just don't come on mine and try to bait other people to go to your Discord. Whatever. Maybe I'm just being an ass, but yeah. Like I said, if you're on Twitch, it tells you exactly what my schedule is. It's every Wednesday at the same time. It even says that on there, so you don't have to ask. If you have to ask, it's because you're fishing. Anyway, could be a bot. Yep, you're absolutely correct. Could be a bot. And like I said, they're not commenting anymore, so it's just chances are they threw that comment out there and then went on to the next one, just spamming everybody with the same message. So that's kind of crap that happens every once in a while. But it only comes on from Twitch. It's only platform that I get that kind of stuff on. So it's kind of funny how that works, huh? All right, let me see if I can pull something out of the backlog here we can tinker around with while we're waiting for the rest of the stream here. So, let's see. What do we got? Let's talk about that other car. Let me find that Corolla. Here it is. So, well, it's Celica, excuse me. Corolla, Celica, almost the same. I'm going to move this guy out of the way because I don't want it to get damaged. Okay, so that message does seem a little sketchy. Yeah, I know. I actually had somebody come on this live stream, not this particular one, but on my live stream one time from Twitch and say they wanted to, can't wait to slog my crank or something. It was just some kind of very inappropriate BS. And it was just like, come on, man, you know. So this was the Toyota Celica. I thought I said Corolla, but I meant this is I forgot it was Celica. Anyway, the GT4. This was the kit I won at one of the IPMS events, and so I was like, "Oh, let's check it out." So when I opened it, I'm like, "Oh no, look at that!" Bunch of extra instructions, and somebody whoever owned this had some resin parts. I mean, we're talking dashboard, all sorts of stuff, but I can't. Some of the stuff I can't figure out what it is, but apparently this looks like photo etch. Yeah, there's some photo etch in here. So you got the basic kit here, but then you got all this cool stuff to turn it into something completely different. So I haven't even opened this up to try to check it out and see. There was even a really nice set of decals that weren't with the kit, obviously, to make this a Marlboro Toyota. There's even some pictures of the interior with the roll cage, where the I can see it looks like maybe a spare tire well, a bunch of stuff like that. So George would be familiar with this kind of stuff because he had that one older guy that passed away and had a lot of things like this in his kits, like how to make them different and better. So here we got the GT4 Rally, and so this is the instructions for the roll cage and all the extra parts to turn this into this Marlboro Rally version here. So kind of a cool little surprise. I was not expecting that because a lot of times when you at least the IPMS event that I go to, when you win something, you're standing in front of a table and there's racks and racks of models about 10 feet away from you, and you kind of go, I want that one, and then they just go over and grab it for you. Make it a drift JDM model. Well, I would if it didn't require me to go buy more stuff. I think there's enough stuff here to do something cool with it, but if I didn't have to like really go get crazy and start buying more stuff, I mean, the body looks nice. I mean, it's black already, which is kind of cool. That means that the wiper cowl is already in place. The LFA was all open in here. But this also has some really thin A-pillars too. Man, oh my gosh. And there's even a little thin like strip between the glass. I don't know if you can even see that. Between the front doors and the back doors, there's a black, little thin black strip. So this is going to require a lot of careful stuff. Even has a piece of, there's some polycaps in here for the wheels. It's even got a piece of netting, some little piece of netting in here for something, but I think that was all the base kit. That's not the add-on stuff. Let me just pop this bag open just to see. So Wednesdays at 8. Yeah, you're saying 8 o'clock. That's for you, Nick. 8 o'clock in Texas. Okay, yes, you are correct. It's 8 p.m. for you, but 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Blah, blah, blah. So here's the resin dashboard. Kind of see that. There's where the steering column or steering wheel will go. There's the heads up, the gauges. Looks like stereo stuff. And there's this big ugly piece of resin on the bottom here. This would be interesting, tough to cut out. Here's some of the roll cage. Quite a bit of cleanup on this stuff. Maybe that's why this guy abandoned this. I don't know. But I'm not even sure this isn't warped because it looks pretty rough. Let me look at this other piece of, oh boy. Either this is broken or, yeah, it's actually broken, I think. I'm going to do some repair work here. So this one's one piece. This one you can clearly see is missing some chunks. So I think some of it got busted up over the years in transit or whatever. Some more decals in here too. But like I said, it is kind of a cool little surprise because I picked it just thinking, well, it's a nice Tamiya kit, whatever, but not expecting to find these extras inside. It's kind of cool. So this is, these look like seatbelt buckles. Let's see if I can get that to focus. Am I in the close-up? No wonder. I'm like, why do I look so far away? Let's go a little closer. There we go. So, yeah, some nice metal seatbelt buckles. I don't know if there are seat belts too in here, but we can certainly check in just a sec here once I get this folded back in. So what is this? Just more resin. Looks like resin. More resin stuff. Some of these. Oh, there's a steering wheel. Even a resin little steering wheel. Wow. That's probably the most detailed part of the whole thing. Looks like gas pedals. Yeah, all the pedals there, resin pedal assembly with the clutch pedal and everything. Let's see. There's a sway bar, it looks like. What the hell are these things? Oh, are these rims? Oh, they are. Okay, so there's a bunch of resin rims that have to be cleaned up. So not quite a bit of cleanup work. And then, of course, here we go. There we go. We got the Recaro style seats. So definitely kind of a cool little thing. But I don't see any seat belts like as in fabric ones or plastic. So no worries there. I can easily create those without an issue because I did the same on the LFA. So, but that's another project for another day. Anyway, what is this here? I don't know, some kind of floorboard or something. Bag o' resin. Mike's going to make a drift JDM model. Keep saying it. I don't know about that. Maybe. We'll see. No promises. All right, guys. Let's see. We're getting close to the end time. I might as well cut this one a little short here so we get all these parts back in. Whoops. Make sure that goes back in. So let's see. This car is pretty much probably the same. Yep. Not a whole lot of difference as far as assembly wise. As far as the steps, you know, starting with engine, frame, all that stuff. Yeah. Pretty cool little car. I can see why they wanted to change up the wheels because these things are kind of boring. Hello, George. Julius is saying hi to George. Say hi to everybody. All right, let me put this back and we'll wrap things up. All right, take the gloves off too. Don't need to handle that model anymore. All right, okay. All right, I'm going to wrap this up a little early, boys and girls. Thanks for coming in. So, once again, we come to the end of the show. Thank you again so much for everybody that has joined in. Let me go back through the list. For those that commented, we got Nick. He was first in. Giovanni, Julius. And then going down, George, of course, George. And then some crazy person from Twitch. Yeah, that's pretty much it. How's the new kitchen? Really? So, Julius, how's the new kitchen? Apparently, that's what we talk about. It's getting there. Cool. You have to send me some pictures, Julius. Now I'm intrigued. Now I want to know. Oh, anyway, guys, thanks again for joining in. Smash that like button, subscribe. You know, do the usual things. That's on the YouTube. It's kind of hard to do that on the Facebook side if you're watching me from there. But it looks like most of the people watching tonight are watching me on YouTube. So, you know, make a comment, throw a comment in the chat, share the video. You can do that too. That helps as well. And as always, be good humans, and we'll see you next time. So, all right. Talk to you soon. See you on the flip.